This is Bengals Game Day. I'm John Kemper, and glad to have you along as we get ready for week one of Helena High football as they'll take on the Great Falls Bison on Friday at Vigilante Stadium. So Helena High is finally here for football. We're going to give you some game day details. It's a new day for Bengals football. And of course, our game day preview with the Bengals and the Bison. And I thought it would be good to take a look at the Montana AA landscape as far as how the divisions break out, and also just look at how the playoffs work. Some of you might be new to Montana AA football or high school football in general. So I thought it would just be fun to review that for you. And then we'll give you this week's Montana AA football schedule, all the teams, home and road. And then we'll look at senior spotlight. And this week we are focusing on Coulter Petrie and Carson Anderson. And finally, we'll finish with how you can watch and listen if you're unable to make it to the game. So don't forget, on Friday, August 26th, Helena High will take on the Great Falls Bison. You're going to want to line up on Billings Avenue about 6 p.m., 5:45, 6 p.m. for the Bengal Walk, as the team will come over from Helena High. And then if you want to turn on your radio or turn on the online stream at 6:40, I'll be giving the radio pregame show, and then we'll jump into kickoff at 7. And this week's theme is whiteout. So if you want to be cool like all the kids, you want to wear a white shirt, white pants, whatever, white hat, just whatever white you have, you want to wear it. And this is a whiteout. This is a whiteout game for week one. And again, it's at Vigilante Stadium. Kickoff is at 7 p.m. All right, well, new day for the Bengals, of course, with head coach Scott Evans retiring after 4 seasons as head coach. And I can't even remember how many seasons, 24, 28 seasons with Helena. He finally retired and is enjoying retirement. I saw him this summer briefly. He and Kim look like they're enjoying retirement so far. And if you know Scott Evans, you know he's not sitting still. I pulled up, and what was he doing? He was cutting down trees and clearing brush, and never a time where that guy sits still. But he's off to retirement. We wish him and Kim the best. And of course, he'll be going over to Missoula to watch Zach and Marcus play for the Grizz. So they'll stay plenty busy with their retirement. But we have a new coach, and it's a name you know, Dane Broadhead. You've seen him around. He's been at Helena High for several years now. He had his playing career in Idaho. He played football and baseball. He might have played some other sports, but those were the two main ones. And then he came to Carroll College, where he was a quarterback, and he led Carroll to the national championship game in 2011 in that, and then came on. After graduating, he eventually came to Helena High, became an assistant coach, and now is the head coach. This is his first time as head coach of a football program. So we're glad to have Coach Broadhead. Definitely a lot of energy in the program. The kids have been really enjoying his leadership and the coaches, and something that I think speaks well of Helena High and speaks well of Dane Broadhead and his coaches is he didn't lose any coaches. He had some shift around. Michael Matson actually stepped away. He's pursuing some stuff on his career side, so he needed to take a break on that, but he's still involved and he's still helping out, just not in a coaching capacity. But they did bring in a couple new coaches. We'll get to those here in just a second. But Coach Dane Broadhead is the new coach for Helena High, and if he sticks around through when his kids play, Helena High should have a head coach here for the next 14 to 15 years before maybe he decides to move on. But in any case, Coach Broadhead has come on to be the head coach for the Bengals. And hello to the class of 2023. Of course, gone are some really good seniors in Chase McGurn and Caden Hewitt. Josh Goldman for Suero, Cade Schlepp. Those guys have all graduated and moved on. And just like every season, we have a new high school senior class, and this class of 2023 has 15 seniors, and it has several returning starters in Cade Holland, Coulter Petrie, Carson Anderson, Tim Tamel, Dylan Chrisman, Shannon O'Brien, and Charles Fox. If I missed somebody, I apologize. I scoured the roster to make sure I didn't miss anyone, but maybe someone slipped through. But 15 seniors for Helena High this year, and those are the returning starters for this class of 2023. All right, some assistant coaches for you. Of course, Manny Garza and Ryan Schulte are there. Marty Cloker is back. Always great to see Coach Cloker. Sean Kraft at quarterbacks, he's there. Kevin Flato, he works with receivers. You have Kerry Cicero, who not only if you, I don't know if you know Kerry Cicero, he's not going to like that I'm going to say what I'm about to say about him. But this guy does it all. He's like, in baseball you have like a 5-tool player, and he's like a 5-tool man. So he's a teacher, he is amazing at graphic design, he's a great football coach, he is a realtor, and he's an Oklahoma City Thunder fan. I don't really know how that happened. I'm still mad that they left Seattle, but hey, whatever. But Cicero is there, and he's just a phenomenal dude and everything. Didn't mean to spotlight him. I'm sure he's embarrassed now if he's listening to this, but he just seems to do it all. And then of course Isaiah Seck, Dustin Pickens, Chase Cloker, he is new this year, and Derek Janeskins, both names you know. Derek Janeskins, teacher out at Montana City, and now he is coaching at Helena High, and good to see him. This is, just so you know, this is my 10th season of Helena High football, calling games for the Bengals, and Derek Janeskins was one of the players when I first started. Probably, you know, within a couple years there, he was there. So it's kind of weird to see him, not as a player but as a coach, but pretty good. And he's got some good facial hair. It's definitely gotten better from when he was in high school. And then of course the Helena High trainer, Paul Cullen, ice climber extraordinaire. So that's the assistant coaches and the trainer for Helena High. Just thought we'd put them out there. They don't like it. They don't like it when I take pictures. But tough luck. That's what we're going to do. They're part of the program. All right. Great Falls, the Bison. This is what we got. Mark Sampson retired at the end of last season. Great Falls hired a new coach. His name is Coda Cheetah. And if that isn't the coolest name in Montana AA and maybe all of Montana, I really don't know. And I'm sure he hears that all the time. But Coda is the new head coach for Great Falls. This is the second time he's been a head coach, and he has been an assistant at Great Falls High for the last 6 years. So something kind of similar with Dane Broadhead being an assistant for years, coming up into that head coaching role. And now you have Coda Cheetah stepping up into that after 6 years as an assistant at Great Falls. The Bison last year, 2021, they went 6-6. They lost to Sentinel in the playoffs. And the name you're going to hear throughout the year is Reed Harris. And it is not an understatement to say that he is the best athlete on the field whenever he takes the field and against whoever he takes the field. He's, I think, 6'5". He's, I think, like 210, 220. He's committed to play at Boston College for football. And on Friday night, you most likely will see this guy at quarterback. You could see him at running back. You could see him at receiver. He plays both ways. So you're going to see him on defense, probably at linebacker. You might see him as a DB as well, but an amazing talent. He's extremely fast, and a team is more than just one player. We all know that, but Reed Harris is the real deal. And this guy can give teams a lot of trouble. So week in and week out, if you're playing the Great Falls Bison, the name you write on the board first is Reed Harris, and your game plan goes around him. So I can only imagine that Helena High has a game plan that's built around trying to neutralize him as much as possible. And Great Falls, they have a really good running back that's back. They feel one of their best positions is their defensive backs. We'll see how that works during the season. Watch some video on them. Of course, me watching video isn't like the most helpful thing, but they run a lot of double formations. So basically 2 receivers on each side. They actually run that about 46% of the time when they're passing. They run basically 3 formations almost 70% of the time. You have trips and you have doubles. Those 2 actually are the ones that are almost 70% of the time. So, and they can pass and run out of that. And you'll see that all on Friday. All right, for Helena High, of course, 2021, 9-3 last year. They lost in the semifinals to West, who eventually lost to Sentinel in the state championship. And we have a new quarterback this year in quarterback Carter Kraft. He's a junior. If you remember, Caden Hewitt, quarterback as a sophomore, junior, and senior. Carter Kraft, His dad's the quarterback coach. His dad played for Montana State, and Carter has sat and watched and practiced with Caden Hewitt, as well as obviously being coached by his dad. And at the scrimmage on Friday, honestly, he looked pretty good. He has some speed, he has some mobility, he can run the ball, but he was making some really good passes as well. So I think the offense is in good hands with Carter Kraft. They have experience at running back, Cade Holland. Cade ran for over 600 yards last year for Helena High on the ground. They had almost or just over 2,000 yards rushing, so he accounted for 670 of them. Caden Hewitt accounted for, I believe, 500 or maybe 700 on there. So, but Cade Holland, of course, an amazing hockey player, going to play for the Bighorns this year, but he's able to come back and play for Helena High as a senior, and you'll see him get the ball, and they might use him as a quarterback sometimes. You just never know in a Wildcat. Some receivers coming back: Carson Anderson, Coulter Petrie. You also have Manu Mello. You have Sam Ark in there. Carson looks like he's probably going to miss this game on Friday, hoping to be back for the senior game on that. But they're the most experienced at wide receiver, but Helena High has quite a few wide receivers and some guys with some good hands. On defense, I'm only highlighting two here, and I apologize. There's a lot more to highlight on defense. I haven't seen the two deep, and I didn't want to like name off people if I didn't know them. But Coulter Petrie at safety, Tim Tamel at linebacker. I imagine Cade Holland's going to be playing at linebacker, and then you have of course Keller Woodland, who's a beast and is going to have a great junior year, I really think. And then the fun thing about defense and offense too, but it seems to happen more in defense, is you kind of run into players who all of a sudden just kind of elevate their game, and over the course of the season they really start to stand out. In fact, Tim Tamel is one of those guys. It wasn't that he was an afterthought on defense. He was a good defensive player, but he got better and better as the season went along, and he became a force to be reckoned with as the season came to a close. So you can always look for that, and you see it on offense as well, but defense, it seems to rise up a little faster. So be looking for that. There's going to be other names for sure. And when we talk about seasons from 2021 or 2020, we're just kind of giving you some ideas of what they've done traditionally or what they've done historically. Obviously, with turnover, with seniors graduating, new coach and stuff, like it's hard to say like this is what it's going to be like this year. But I just like to give that as just this is what they did last year, and let's see what they do this year. All right, when you look at the Bengals and the Bison, Helena High in 2021 beat Great Falls 22-0 in the Electric City. Bengals offense in 2021, they passed for almost 2,500 yards, 29 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. When you have a quarterback like Caden Hewitt, you can really do quite a bit, and he definitely led that offense for the last 3 years. Rushing the ball, 2,019 yards, averaged 5.4 yards per carry, had 24 touchdowns on the ground. When you look at the defense, turnover margin of plus 15. So turnover margin is basically you take the fumbles and the interceptions that you have against you, and then you take the fumbles and interceptions that you create on the defense and you put them together, and a plus margin just means that you had more takeaways than giveaways. So Helena High plus 15. They had 16 interceptions. They had 11 fumble recoveries on the season, 92 quarterback carries, and 39 sacks on defense for the Bengals. And then for Great Falls in 2021, passing 1,579 yards, 12 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. They ran the ball a lot more, 1,977 yards, 5.2 yards per carry, 18 touchdowns. A lot of that on the legs of Reed Harris. And their defense, turnover margin plus 6. They did not have 39 sacks. Sorry, they had 14 and a half. And they had 9 interceptions and 8 fumble recovery. So that's where Great Falls was last year. We'll see where they are this season. All right, let's look at the Montana AA. And this is just a good reference. It's pretty standard now. when they brought Belgrade and Gallatin in, they redid the divisions, and they actually split. So we only have 9 games a season. We used to have 10. Now you have 9, and then you get in the playoffs. But in the Western Division, you have Big Sky in Missoula. You have the Butte Bulldogs, of course, Capital across town, Flathead Braves and Glacier Wolfpack up in Kalispell. Of course, the Helena High Bengals, and then Missoula Hellgate and the 2-time state champs, Missoula Sentinel Spartans. And on the east side of the state, it really just clustered perfectly for the east side of the state. You have Belgrade in there. You have Bozeman, of course, their CMR up in Great Falls, Gallatin, that fills out the 3 teams in the Gallatin Valley. You have Great Falls, so the 2 teams up in Great Falls with the Bison and CMR. And then you have the 3 teams in Billings Senior, Billings Skyview, and Billings West. So that's how it breaks down. And each year, each team plays 2 non-division games in weeks 1 and week 2. So they'll have a home and road or a road and home, vice versa. And then after 2 years, and you play that team, like Helena right now, they're playing Great Falls on the road last year. They're playing them at home. So next year, Helena High will rotate and they'll play somebody else from the east. So Helena this year, Great Falls and Senior this year and last year. Next year, it could be CMR and Gallatin. They'll just pick it. So and Helena High will go on the road for one, be on the road, be at home for one. Next year, Helena High will start on the road. With Capital, they flip back and forth year in and year out. All right, so how do the playoffs work? Now, this I don't think changed, but MHSA sometimes changes things around, but this is how it's been the last couple of years. Top 2 teams in the West and the East, they earn a first round bye, so they don't have to play that first week or week 10 of the season. And in the opening round, you have the 3rd seed out of the West play the 6th seed, the 4th play the 4th out of the West play the 5th seed out of the East. And then the third out of the East plays the 6th out of the West, and the 4th out of the East plays the 5th out of the West. And of course, the lower seeds will host those games. And then each round is reseeded. So it's not like March Madness where they put them in a bracket and they play that bracket all the way through. They'll play this first round, and then they will reseed based on who wins and who advances. And of course, the number 1 seed always gets the lowest seed, and the number 2 seed will get the next seed on that. And then, of course, the state championship game will be held at the home of the highest seed. I don't know what the tiebreakers are if both teams are undefeated. I'm sure somebody knows, but I don't know what that is. But first and foremost, it's the home team. The home team is the highest seed, East or West. All right, week 1 schedule. Of course, Helena High hosting Great Falls. Capital's on the road taking on Bozeman. Billings Senior is on the road in Butte to take on the Bulldogs. The Rustlers will host the Hellgate Knights. Belgrade will host the Glacier Wolfpack. Sentinel Spartans on the road to Billings to take on the West Golden Bears, and that is another game of the state championship. So they've played the last 2 state championships against each other. I think this will mark the fourth game in the last 2 years that those 2 teams have faced each other. But West will host Sentinel. Skyview will be on the road all the way up to Flathead. That's a long day for them. And then the Raptors will just be over in Missoula to take on the Big Sky Eagles. All games start at 7 unless otherwise noted. And all games are on Friday except for a couple. And Helena High has one on September 15th. Actually, Helena High will take on Hellgate, which is a Thursday at home. And that's because of some volleyball scheduling and homecoming and all of that. They had to move the game up 1 day. So Helena High will have a Thursday game this year. All right. And so halftime, we'll do a senior spotlight. This is going to be exclusively on the radio station, KCAP 950 AM or KCAP online. I will extract that audio and I'll put it up on social media so you guys can hear it, but we'll play it on at halftime. And it's just a 2.5 minute thing on each player. And this week, each senior, and this week we're going to talk about Coulter Petrie and Carson Anderson. Goal is to get through all of the seniors, all 15, by the end of the year. So I got my work cut out for me, but I think I can do it. All right. All right, so can't make it to the game. There are a couple ways you can watch and listen. So if you want to watch it, you can go to the NFHS network, and it's right there, nfhsnetwork.com. I will say the stream is touchy sometimes. If you've watched NFHS at all, you know that. And there will not be any play-by-play. So maybe you're fine with that. Most people probably are, but there'll be no play-by-play in it. So it'll just be the crowd noise and all that. And that's fine. If you'd like the play-by-play, then you can go ahead and turn over to KCAP 950 AM, and we will start the pregame show at 6:40 p.m. Of course, game preview, coach interview will be in the second segment, and then we'll look at the Montana AA schedule, and then just fill it in as we get ready for kickoff at 7 p.m. And then, of course, at the end of the game, we have Coach Dane Broadhead coming up for an interview, and then we will announce our player of the game at that time. So a couple ways you can watch and you can listen. One tip on this, if you want play-by-play, but you want to be able to watch, Eric Peterson gave this idea a few years ago, so I just like to put it out there. What he would do is he'd turn on the NFHS network, he'd get to a game, and then he would wait for like a timeout or in basketball, like a foul or a penalty, and he'd pause it, and then he would let the radio or the play-by-play catch up, and when it caught up, then he would hit play and it would be synced up. Wish we had a better way for you. Currently we don't. So if you want to do that, that's great. But you'll be able to listen to me on KCAP 950 AM, and you can watch it on the NFHS network. All right, so that's how you can listen or watch the game. And yeah, that's about it, guys. Game day. It's already here, August 26th. Get out there early for the Bengal walk, 5:45 to 6 p.m. on Billings Avenue. Make sure to wear white for the whiteout. And just watch the student section. They will be throwing flour or baby powder. I'm not sure which, but there will be white powder in the air. So maybe you'll want to slide down in the stands more towards the east side of the stands, because unless you want to get white powder all over you and all of that. And if not, I'd slide over. All right. And then don't forget, pregame starts at 6:40 on KCAP.com. And you can listen online. Just go to KCAP.com, select listen live, and you can listen in the stands. Some people have done that. It might drive you nuts because it's about a 2-minute lag. So, but that is one way you can listen. All right. Well, hey, thanks so much. Hope this was enjoyable. Hope you liked the presentation and all of that. And don't forget, Bengals this Friday. Until then, I'm John Kemper. Go Bengals.